I moved to Africa because I figured this out myself. I'm gonna explain the same thing to you. So the idea is basically, and tied to the oldest story known to man, the story of Adam and Eve, how evolution of technology leads to destruction of societies. So I truly believe that the Garden of Eden and Adam in the Bible. Now you can look at this and follow this when you believe in it, or you can just see it as wisdom. Mythological stories have wisdom and psychological input, blah blah. So the story of Adam and Eve, they're living in a place where everything's perfect, the Garden of Eden. And I truly believe that's the tribe. You go to a tribe, you don't find one person with depression, anxiety, and so on. Of course, there's death. You can get eaten by a lion, but inner peace is there, and there's no fear. And I think they feel really, really, really good. And I think if any of us went to a tribe and lived in the bush and lived like that, close to your family all night, going to bed when going to bed with the sun, going up with the sun, and so on, living in nature, when you come back to this society, you will cry. I think you'll go back. So we're really dead, and that's why God sent Jesus Christ. But how did we get out of there, the Garden of Eden? Well, in the story, Adam and Eve, they take a bite from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, an apple. So knowledge of good and evil, what is that? Well, good and evil is like everything. Evil over here, good. That's gnosis, it's knowledge. You have from good to evil, you have everything. So knowledge. Now what actually happened when we read history? Now you can't ever believe what they say, but in history, we were hunter-gatherers, and then we started doing, it's called farming, but in Denmark it's called agriculture. They started being able to collect crops, which meant that they could have more people in their tribe because suddenly they had more food. Before as hunter-gatherers, they couldn't really become that big. That's what they say. So what is that? That's knowledge. The knowledge to start farming made us able to develop, and that led to cities and villages, huge villages. And that's when things became a little ugly when you read human history, when we started living together in huge groups, sicknesses and the death, and then there's the Middle Ages and so on. But we just keep on developing. And many of these great inventors, I got mentioned that they contacted, demonic spirits to evolve, but you can see that as something else. Now I want to keep this also scientific people can stay here. So as we evolve, because we eat apples from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, we fall more and more. Now, for 2,000 years ago, we were completely fallen already because we were not living in the bush. We were living in houses, and things were different, a lot different than it should be and was supposed to be in the Garden of Eden. So God sent His only begotten Son, Jesus Christ, the only man without sin ever, to save us. That's why we need a Savior. You can't say you need a Savior if you're not fallen. You need somebody to lift you up. So we are now in a time where the development is absurd and it's getting faster and faster, and it looks like this development, and in the peak it just goes straight up. So that's the death. Now, what signs is there of end times? Has the Bible really predicted 2,000 years? Well, first of all, it is said in Ephesians somewhere, I can't pronounce it. It said, in the end of times, men will not know how to be men, women will not know how to be women, and they will be together with each other, men with men, women with women. It will be all lust and no love. We obviously know that's happening in higher rates than ever before. That's one prediction. There's quite a bit. There's a crazy one with the moon, but this is too way out for you guys. So it's obvious that we are getting closer to the world's end, and it's right here. Now, the ships that are the countries, Inchi, that is most developed, are the countries that are in the biggest danger, or the countries that will fall first. Now, when the real Antichrist comes with AI and so on, and development, it will die. So that's of course what AI is. It's the development, it's the Antichrist. It's also said in the Bible that in the end times, people will have like a stamp, at the mark of the beast, and without that stamp, if you do something bad, you cannot buy food and so on. That's happening in China. Now, even atheistic people are fearful of AI, but we all know that the answer is the fall completely. It is also said, but that's not that relevant right now. So why did I move? Well, I moved because there's different countries. Imagine all the different countries, different ships. Now, the ships that are closest to the front, most developed, Scandinavia, America, Canada, and so on, they're the ones that will tip over the world's end first. Now, they will affect us, obviously, but I'm just thinking, if I'm in Kenya, I can go to Uganda. If Kenya gets too evolved, go to Congo. If it gets too evolved. So in some weird sense, if you're Kenyan listening and you hate your country for the corruption and so on, I know this is insane, and hearing this from a person like me, but there's damn benefit from it. There's literally less children have been changed, permanently infertile, the rainbow people. I think you know what I'm talking about. Less people have been done that in Kenya. So if Kenya was more developed, more small girls and small boys would have ended up being permanently infertile from the Sim 2 agenda type of stuff. So just think about that, So technology is really of the devil. You can even see it on the Apple computer. I have an Apple computer here, but my camera's on it. The Apple computer, Apple, and it's not just an apple that's taking a bite from it. And I only know one other story, and I just talked about that. Adam and Eve, they took a bite from the apple. Now, why would they do that? It's because symbols never lie. Symbols never lie, and they never have. That's why the Bible is told in stories. Now, so it's obvious that we are close to end time. Technology like Apple and those other things, AI, is the forefront of the fall of man. The fall of man is his knowledge, gnosis. Knowledge. All knowledge is between the knowledge of good and evil. So, what do we do? I don't know. Am I crazy for moving to Africa? I don't think so. Why do I see that nobody else does, and everybody thinks I'm, kind of crazy in my own country? Well, I think I am a little crazy. In some senses, I'm definitely abnormal. I've always been thinking, and I've always been seeking adventure and thinking, and through that, I guess I explored a lot in my own mind and in the world, and I found the truth, which is Jesus Christ. So I came from a completely atheistic, you couldn't get a more atheistic background, actually minus atheistic in some sense. They would, a lot of jokes about Christ and I grew up thinking he was kind of an idiot. Seeing Monty Python and videos like that. So, let me not lose my thread. So I grew up thinking Jesus Christ, and then, I eventually came more and more closer to the truth, and I found it through traveling and absurdities and death and many things, I've been through in life. I'm only 24, but I experienced quite a bit, and I'll experience quite a bit more. Now, my brother told me, which was a really good point of his, he'll move to Kenya if things become as I predict them to become in the West, in Denmark. So, he asked me, Christopher, why are you running away? Isn't that cowardly? Shouldn't you stay and fight? And I couldn't agree with him more. But, I'm not perfect in any way, I'm not like that smart, I know stuff, but I felt when I was living in Denmark in my apartment, I just felt unhappy, I felt paranoid, and it's really weird believing stuff and nobody else really, everybody's kind of thinking you're an idiot, and people do believe that I'm an idiot for believing in God, to a solid degree in my own country. So the technological development of human beings is the fall of man. It's in the symbols, and it makes sense when you take it in parallel to history. And we're very close to end times, and the thing is, end times can happen so fast because in mathematics, exponential rise is fast and fast like a snowball. The bigger the snowball gets, the faster it goes, and the bigger and faster it gets bigger, and it just goes up, 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 up. And suddenly, you will have 100,000 years of evolution, technological evolution, in 1 millisecond. And that's when we better, pray, because Christ will come and collect us or whatever. As long as you believe, you'll be saved. But it's weird. Sometimes I don't, I understand many things. I used to ask my father stuff, but he doesn't believe in God, and I don't know who to ask. But the questions like, fine, you live in end times, you believe in God, but what if your children are being mutilated or something? That's damn terrible. But it's end times, and you're just born in that time. So, to you guys, if you're watching, you live in Denmark or the West, well, the only continent where there are true Christians is Africa. There are true Muslims in the Middle East, but in Africa, they are true Christians and they keep the traditions. There you'll find real Christianity here in Africa. So move to Africa. It's cheap, it's possible. Women are feminine, and you can have your children grow up in a society where they believe in God. But it's difficult integrating into society. I'm a very flexible individual. I've traveled a lot and I can kind of adapt. I'm not that nationalistic. I love Denmark, but it's possible for me to do, but it's a very difficult thing. But there's another guy, he believed, the fall of the West was here. You can look him up, he can speak fluent Swahili. And he just moved down here 11 years ago and started a family and started preaching and become a pastor. So everything is possible. We live in end times. It is obvious, even every religion says it. It's very obvious, and even scientific people say it. And the development of technology is what is really dangerous. So stop using your phone, stop using algorithms, stop watching porn, stop doing all that stuff, and read the Bible. And I'm very calm. It's a nice morning. It's Sunday. I can hear people singing Jesus Christ, so I'm happy. But I got my own problems. I'm not perfect anyway. Maybe I seem perfect when I talk about Jesus Christ, which is a nice voice that I have now. But God bless everybody. I just want to share this, and if you have any questions, you can ask in the comment description. Have no fear.